Okay, so I want you to make assignment 6 in your notebook. It's right after the notes that you did last night. So go to the notes you did last night, make assignment 6. It's called 3.1 to 3.2. Interest groups, types and reasons. I know that this thing just says interest groups, but it's interest groups, types and reasons. And everything you need is on the board. Assignment 6, 3.1 to 3.2. That means it's 2 notes in one, but it's not that long. And it's interest groups, types, and reasons. Okay? Okay. Okay. By the end of these notes, you should be able to tell me 3 different types of interest groups. Okay? It's confusing. Okay, here we go. Our first note is literally the definition of interest group. So an interest group is a group with common interest that seeks to influence the government. Because I'm recording class, I'm not going to be able to get up out of my seat and be the dynamic speaker you always have known me to be.
You can't just rotate it and then record you walking around?
Once you... No, I mean, you're right. But once you remove the cord, it gets all the frame rate gets all choppy.
You don't gotta remove it. You just gotta rotate it.
All right. It's all right. We're not going to get too crazy. So an interest group is a group with common interest that wants to influence the government. What's an example of an interest group, guys? The NRA. So the NRA, they want to protect gun rights. And so they want to make sure that Trump doesn't pass gun laws, or that California doesn't pass gun laws, or that Ken Calvert doesn't pass gun laws. So that's their job, to influence the government to achieve their goals. But there are lots of different types of group. They're not all trying to protect guns and stuff. So we'll look at different types today. Can I continue? Cool. Okay, you remember this guy, Madison? He wrote a document that we studied in Unit 1, and it was about interest groups, but he didn't call them interest groups. He called them what? Factions. Very good. He called them factions. And did he like factions or dislike factions? He disliked them. Did he say, let's get rid of them? No. He said, you cannot. He said, they are inevitable. No?
Oh, yeah.
Bane? No, not Bane. Thanos.
Bane. No.
Thanos. Whoa. They got the same deep voice.
No, don't.
What did Bane say?
Bane sounds like he says, "I am born in dark." Oh,
I was born in the dark.
Thanos is just normally like, I will choose. One of them is also giant.
All right. Video recording. Okay, so Madison wrote a paper. What was the paper called? No. His paper was the opposite of Brutus. Federalist 10. I think you might want to write down, he wrote Fed 10. Ooh, that's so pretty. He wrote Fed 10 where he said factions are dangerous. Factions are basically interest groups, guys. So now, by the end of today, you'll have a better idea of Fed 10 because you understand interest groups. He said interest groups can tear apart your country. If you have a small republic, if you have like 5 people in Congress, can you do me a favor and like don't stress so much about all that crap that's up there? Instead, stress about the words that I'm saying. always with the knocking. Thank you, Claire. Okay, hold on. Let's pause. Okay, back to recording. So what I'm saying is don't stress so much about all that. Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth for a better understanding. He was worried about interest groups if your country had a small republic. In other words, if you had 10 people in Congress that made all the decisions, that was very scary, as you continue to look up there and copy. If you had 10 people in Congress and you had interest groups, maybe like the NRA could take over all 10 people. But if you have 535 people in Congress, interest groups are a lot less scary because people, it's like too spread out. You got people from California, people from Hawaii, people from Alaska, people from New York. Can you put that in words instead of what's up there? Oh my gosh. Hi. Say hello to the recording for tomorrow.
Oh. Hi.
That's why people think you're crazy. Like, it's just,
no, she's actually in class tomorrow.
Oh.
So you'll get to see the video of you.
Okay.
Inception. Okay. Okay.
I thought it was just some random office. Are you terrifying?
Okay.
Are you like some pookie or something?
Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? That he wrote a paper called Fed 10. He said interest groups are scary, but they can be controlled by having a large republic. This is just a reminder about Fed 10 and what he meant by that. Since today we're going to talk about interest groups. I am moving on. Cool. This is also a reminder about another vocab word from Unit 1. If you know it, you can skip it. But pluralism was the idea. It's kind of the same idea from Fed 10, that if many groups fight for power, it leads to a sort of balance or equality. Right, Jalen? If many groups fight for power, it leads to a sort of balance, and like nobody dominates. You remember that? And you remember how hyper-pluralism is different? Yes, I do. Oh, good job. Hyper-pluralism is there's so many groups fighting that nobody can achieve anything. Nothing can get accomplished. We're in gridlock. How many of you guys remember the word pluralism from Unit 1? So I can click?
Hold on.
Oh, okay. We're waiting for Evan, just so you know, period 2.
Okay, good.
Okay, Evan's ready, guys.
Concentration.
What's the point of writing word for word?
I'm not. I'm just reading it so I can summarize it.
Oh, okay. Then I approve. He's reading it so he could summarize.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
We're entering a new topic on our paper that's going to last a couple slides. Interest groups have grown over time in America. Let's look at why. Okay. Interest groups have grown over time in America. Let's look at why. Reasons for growth. Reason number 1. I wouldn't stress so much about this. This French guy visited America like back in the day. I don't know if AP US students remember this guy from like Unit 1, but he visited America and he observed a lot of stuff about Americans. He said Americans love to join groups. I would just put as my first note, Americans tend to like to join groups for some reason. How many guys are in a club? Let's see. How many guys are in a sport? Let's see. How many guys are in band? Wow, that's it. How many guys are in AP government? Let's see. You just hanging out here. All right, let's keep going. A lot of interest groups form because of money, like issues with money. Like people are suffering. You remember U.S. history? I was always talking about farmers and how their life sucked. Anytime I brought up farmers in U.S., it was like, they suck. They're not getting paid. They're poor. So like farmers were one of the first interest groups because they were fighting for farmer rights. All right, then I'm going to keep going. Next up, you're going to write down all this word for word, and that's a bad idea. Listen to what I say instead for bullet 3. For bullet 3, over time the government has grown, right? The government does a lot more now than it used to, and they make there's programs like Social Security and food stamps and I would write down Social Security, food stamps, etc. These are government programs, and when they're created, there's often an interest group created that supports it, and there's an interest group created that's against it. Food stamps, Social Security. When a new government program is created, often interest groups pop up that are against it and that are for it. I'll give you an example that more applies to your life. Would you guys like to go to college for free? Would you like tuition-free college? So imagine that we passed a law to make college tuition-free and you got to go for free, which would be like, what perfect timing for you. How amazing. I wouldn't get your hopes up, but you know, you never know. Okay. So let's say that like the next president after that said, I'm going to get rid of it, and you're in college. I could see you joining a group that was like protesting and fighting, do not take away our free college. That's how it is for food stamps and Social Security and Medicare. People protest, don't take away my stuff. And other people say, get rid of it, it's wasteful. Couldn't you see a bunch of boomers creating a group that was like, stop this free college crap? Back in my day, I paid my $700 to go to college. I worked at Wendy's and I left debt free. You can do it too. Okay, back to the notes. We're still talking about reasons for growth. And another reason for growth is the diversity of America, that we have so many races, ethnicities, so many genders, I guess. I didn't mean it like that, but I guess that makes sense. That leads to a lot of interest groups when you have a diverse nation. Imagine living like in Sweden, where there's like only white people.
That'd be so bad.
We have 6 interest groups. 5 of the groups are about solar panels.
Is that how you think Swedes talk? Like, is that?
We're just gonna make that the way they talk.
Is it really?
For the purpose. Is that pretty close? Actually, they have a really good English accent. It's like not bad at all.
No, yeah, you're thinking more of like.
To me, they're all the same. Is that racist? Sweden, Denmark, Norway. I thought they're the same. No? I mean, I know they're different places,
Yeah, they are.
but their accent's like really like good. Okay. What do I want to say here? I don't know. I guess because our government is so spread out, there's more interest groups because you can matter even in Eastvale, like you can matter. So I would say the spread out or the diffusion. How about maybe we use the word that's on the slide? The diffusion of power in government leads to many interest groups because like our power is spread out all over the nation. I would not write word for word all of the rest of that thing. And then finally, sometimes political parties are weak and they have a hard time getting stuff done. Interest groups step in and they help fill that void to get things accomplished. All right. An example of that would be MAD. M-A-D-D is an interest group. Anyone know what MAD is about? M-A-D-D. It's sort of about drugs, but not really. Moms? Did you say moms? Oh, it is mothers. What's MAD stand for? Mothers Against DD. What's that? Drunk driving. Mothers Against Drunk Driving. So like, in the past, way back in the, this is me, Shay, saying, come up here and give it to me. That's what this hand motion means. In the past, there wasn't strict punishments for drunk driving like there is today. And in the 80s, this group sprung up called Mothers Against Drunk Driving. You just stay right there. And they tried to fight for stricter punishment for people that drove drunk, and they succeeded. Where the parties were unable to do it, they were able to convince their Congress people to pass the law. And today, when you drive drunk, do you know like how big the punishment? It's like a really big deal, right? It's like life-altering consequences, like a felony and charges. All right. Continuing reasons for growth, I would write down just this right here. Do you remember FECA? We learned it the other day. Federal Election Campaign Acts of the 70s. I would write FECA of the 70s. And that led to a lot of new interest groups because if you remember why, we limited the amount of money that people could donate to candidates. But we did leave things kind of open a little bit more for interest groups. So interest groups blew up. Here's another one. When an interest group is created, it tends to create another interest group to like counterpunch it. So if you make the NRA, then you end up making a group that is against guns. If you make a pro-abortion group, you end up making a group that's anti-abortion. Another one will start to exist. So.
What is the NRA?
March for Lives. Have you heard of that? It's pretty new. It's a couple years old. March for Lives. Isaac Laura. Anyone know Isaac Laura? Yeah. He was the leader of our local March for Lives chapter. The question for the people who are watching the recording, if you can't hear, is what was the one that's the opposite of the NRA? And the answer is March for Lives. And finally, technology has increased interest groups. Like I'm probably a part of some interest groups if I think about it, but I wouldn't have been a part of them if it wasn't like as easy as going to their website and joining an email list. Time for the next section, which is types of interest groups. Types of interest groups. So new little subheading. We're going to look at like the 5 or 6 different types of interest groups. They fall under different categories. All right, category number 1 is traditional. A traditional interest group represents the economic interest of their members. In other words, they have members in the group and they want the group to be financially successful. What is one I talked about today that's like that? They have people in the group and they want that group to be financially successful. Not the NRA because they just want guns. They don't care if you're poor or rich, they want guns. But farmers fits under that category. So number 1 is farmers. American Farm Bureau, agricultural group. But there's a bunch of other ones, like labor unions. You've heard of labor unions before? Like teachers. I'm in a labor union. Teachers. So I guess I'm in an interest group called the California Teachers Association. And they fight for my rights as a teacher, and they try to lobby California to pass pro-teacher laws, and they try to lobby DC and California to spend more money on education. What's up, Jalen? Can you take pictures? Do we get pictures?
Pension.
I'm sorry. Yes, I do get a pension. But it's not... Yeah, so let me explain. Go back in time like 100 years ago when people were teachers in California, and it was probably just like, whatever the community will pay you. And then eventually some people started to learn. This goes for any workplace like 100 years ago, right? Like coal miners. They started to learn, what if we all refuse to work? People still need coal. Like, they'll have to pay us a better wage and that kind of thing. So people went on strike and they fought for better wages and stuff. And it's the same with teachers. So yeah, I get paid a really nice, generous pension, actually. Not as nice and generous as police officers, who I think retire at like 100% of their salary, I think. But I'll retire at like 80, which is pretty sweet if I work till I'm old. If I work till I'm 62. Is that old? Yeah.
Once you get past
It don't look that old to me, but I'm getting there. That's a long time. I'm gonna have to teach for 40 years to retire when I'm 62, because I started teaching very young. Another type is business. Okay, look, I gotta say this. In this class, you are gonna do a little interest group project where like you're gonna get a unique group that no one else in the class has. And I'm gonna let you pick, but you know, people are gonna pick the popular ones right away. So pay attention as I talk about different groups. Don't be skipping and shortening notes too much on the next few slides, because a lot of this is ideas for groups for you to better understand them. There's also pro-business groups. You probably have heard of the Chamber of Commerce before. That's an interest group. They're kind of like in every city in America, and they fight for the growth of business and low taxes. They're kind of conservative Republican type groups. There's also professional groups like the American Medical Association, the American Bar Association. What's the American Bar Association? It's not bartenders. What is it? Lawyers, yeah. I'll give you 10 more seconds, then we'll go to the next slide. So these are labor unions. You go back up here. Labor unions are like what I was saying, where they fight for workers' rights and make sure you're not being abused at work. The downside of unions, like I think they're very good. I feel very protected in my job. I feel like my boss, he can't make me like, you know, work overtime and work this Saturday. I have like rights. But on the downside, they also, have you heard this before? They also protect bad workers too. So like there are people that abuse the union. I'm sure you don't have any teachers like this, but I hear about teachers at other schools. You know, they show movies all the time. They give like a worksheet, and they're like, okay, you have 2 hours to do it. And it's a 5-minute worksheet. You know, they're just skating. But nobody would do that here. But other places I've heard this goes on, right? Next slide. Moving ahead to this is a real popular category where a lot of you guys will want to pick groups. Non-traditional protest interest groups. This is groups that like fight for people's rights, particularly like race and gender. What's a group we've learned about before that like they were involved in Brown v. Board? What group was that? NAACP. Very good. The NAACP. They're fighting to promote and protect the status of their members. So the NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. NOW is National Organization for Women. ACT UP, I think, is also another. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, I'm gonna Google some of these because I can't remember. MALDEF. Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund. MALDEF. ACT UP. Is that a song? Because that's what came up.
Why did you ask if there's a song for it?
Well, like maybe you guys know it or something. Oh, it's a group for people that have AIDS. From what I understand, from what a quick Google. What these groups use is a strategy called, did I go too fast or are you okay?
Spelled it.
Yes, I did spell it wrong. Look. What these groups, did I go too quick on the last slide?
No.
Okay. What they use is a strategy, only these types of groups, well, I don't know, especially these types of groups use a strategy called litigation. And you learned this on last night's lecture, right? The little 12-minute video. Litigation is filing lawsuits. And that's why I mentioned Brown v. Board. Because Brown v. Board, they saw a girl that had to walk far to school, and the NAACP gave her a free lawyer. They saw it as a chance to fix something that was wrong with America. So interest groups use different types of strategies. The NAACP is not going to donate money to Donald Trump or Ken Calvert, but they will find a family and sue on their behalf. And honestly, that's how most of the change in this country has happened in relation to racism and stuff, is through lawsuits. Not through new laws passing so much. So make sure you know, really this word right here, litigation, filing lawsuits to get change. All right, the next type of interest group is a single issue interest group. What's an example of an interest group that only cares about one thing?
PETA.
PETA is one thing, I guess billions of animals, but yeah, one thing. What's another one? Sarah, did you say it?
NRA.
NRA is another, yeah. So they only care about one thing. So let's look at some examples. The Right to Life League, what do you think they care about?
Life.
What does that mean, though?
Pro-life.
Pro-life, anti-abortion, and then the National Abortion Rights Action League. The NRA, I think we know, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I remember that group from when I was in elementary school. And then how about NORML? NORML is, I think it stands for the National Organization for Reforming Marijuana Laws. So they're pro-marijuana. And then PETA, which is an animal rights group. PETA does all kinds of stuff. I'll show you some videos when these notes are done today. And substitute teacher, please show these videos when you show this in class too. They'll be on the PowerPoint. You'll see some links. But PETA does, have you ever seen back in the day, like in movies or whatever, where like celebrities are wearing fur and somebody would go and like splash paint on them and like ruin the fur because it's like, don't wear animals or whatever. Yeah. That's a PETA thing. I'll show you a video of them flower bombing Kim Kardashian with like flour from the kitchen, like flour powder.
That's just a waste of an animal now. It's like, at least they're using it. Like they killed it, but now what are you gonna do?
But you're drawing attention to other people that might say, "Ooh, yeah, I don't want to buy
people
fur."
Have enough money to replace it, so it's just.
Yeah, they do, but maybe you're stopping other people. You're making other people like get attention. Look, it's also like assault.
You're gonna get
You're also going to jail. I'm not justifying it. Another thing that PETA did, maybe, gosh, I don't know, man. Today's weird because I can show you videos that'll mess you up if you want.
Yeah.
But like, they went, like I Googled it last period, they went undercover in Chino at the dairies.
Yeah.
And they exposed how the cows were being mistreated at the, I guess it was like, after the cows are done being useless
that was
for the, like getting all the milk out or whatever, and then they put them into the slaughterhouse, right? And they were like, video was released of them picking up the cows with a forklift because the cows were so sick. And then they're like cutting that up and selling the meat. And so that was released by a worker who went undercover and sold the video, or not sold it, I would say. That sounds like profit. But they gave the video to PETA, like let's embarrass this. And by releasing the video, the farm got investigated. They had to change their practices and stuff. That's an example of these interest groups, even locally, having an impact on us. The next type of interest group is a public interest group. What's that picture of in the background? Yosemite, yeah. Who said that, Monica?
Actually, fun fact, the first time I saw the word Yosemite,
Uh-huh.
I read it as
Yeah, I mean, it looks like that. It doesn't look like Yosemite. It needs like 2 E's or something. Okay, so a public interest group is they care about something that everyone should care about, that benefits all of society. I mean, you could argue that PETA is kind of like that too, but do you guys have a positive idea of PETA or a negative idea of PETA? Yeah, they're kind of extreme, so I find that people are like, it's 50-50, people are mixed on them. Which, by the way, I think I didn't say it, it said it up there, but single issue groups are very divisive, they're very polarizing. People either love them or hate them. But going back to this, some examples of public interest groups. They care about stuff we should all care about. Example number 1, Common Cause, which is a campaign finance reform. They want to get money out of politics, like the donations to Ken Calvert and stuff. They want to stop that. I agree with that. I think 85% of Americans agree with that, probably more. Number 2 is Public Citizen, a consumer advocacy group. They fight for your rights as a consumer, that like banks don't take advantage of you, that products you buy at Walmart are not made of lead and they're not going to like give you lead poisoning. That, I don't know, your seatbelt is safe, that your car doesn't burst into flames. Or your phone, that Samsung has to recall the Note 7 or whatever. Was it the Note 7? I think it was.
Yeah, it exploded on a plane.
Exploded on a plane. All right. Another type of group is the League of Women's Voters, which actually at this time they just register everybody to vote. That's good. Everybody should be okay with people getting registered to vote. And then environmental groups fall under this category because what they believe benefits everyone. Popular environmental groups are the Sierra Club or the Wilderness Society or Greenpeace. Have you ever heard of Greenpeace?
Yeah.
That would be a good one to add. Greenpeace is like the PETA of environmental groups. I'm not going to keep spelling this, but it's peace, like, you know, peace and harmony, Greenpeace. They're the ones that like chain themselves to the bulldozer that's going to like knock down the ancient tree. You know what I mean? Is that like Lorax stuff?
You have it backwards there. They don't change themselves to the bulldozer.
Well, they do different things. Or they slash the bulldozer's tires, or they go live in the tree, right? So that the tree can't be knocked down, and they're like, you can't knock it down if I'm living up here. This is real. Like, people have done that where they live in the tree for like 2 months. That like the city of Whittier was gonna knock down, like, and that's a Greenpeace type of thing. When I think of Greenpeace, I also think about, I think they went to the top of Trump's hotel in Vegas, and because Trump is kind of like not super environmental friendly, and they opened, I don't know, you can Google Greenpeace and look at images on Google. You probably see they do a lot of stunts, like crazy stuff. I think that like they went to his roof and how do you describe? They let go of like a bunch of fabric that had been painted like, I forget what it's, you know, go to hell Trump or something like that. You can look it up though. Do you know what it said? They drop banners, I guess, but it's like really large, like large banner, like bigger than our building here. When I think of Greenpeace, I always think about how Russia, you know, Putin, they were drilling in the Arctic Ocean, and Greenpeace does, you know, they don't want oil drilling, they don't want drilling in the ocean, and they really don't want oil drilling in the Arctic Ocean with the seals and all that. So they took a little boat out there, like, you know, like a little cheesy boat, like 6 people, and they like chained themselves to the oil rig, like, no, don't do it, you know, kind of naive. And they were not in America anymore, so they were arrested and thrown in jail for like years. Where in America we're like, bad activist, bad, you know, like that's a night in jail, you bad activist. Russia, they threw them in jail for years. These people are like still freezing somewhere, like in a Russian.
They're just in the gulag. They're just in Russia.
Yeah, it's not the rules are not the same, you know. There's also some tax-exempt groups that fall into this category. American Cancer Society, the Girl Scouts.
I think you just crossed them.
I'm sorry. Can I undo?
Forget the Girl Scouts.
I don't see the undo. No, FBLA. You guys know FBLA, even it's at this school. I would rather you don't choose one of these for your project, because they're not allowed to get like political. I like the groups that are a little more political, a little more APGov related.
More
Girl Scouts cannot say vote for Trump. They're not allowed to.
How do you say perfectly underlined?
I don't know why FBLA is perfectly underlined.
Girl Scouts for America is just you.
To be fair, I only crossed off America.
What are you about?
Everybody likes their cookies.
Exactly.
Okay. Another type of group is ideological. We're almost done. An ideological group. Ideological means someone's beliefs. An ideological group wants the government to fall in line with a group's beliefs.
Isn't that just a cult?
It's, I mean, you're about to see what you might be more right than you think. So like,
What is the church?
so like religious organizations
What is
that,
that one church that
Yeah.
a lot? Is that
but I mean like normal religious organizations. Like there's something called the Christian Coalition, which is probably like a bunch of pastors all over America are a part of this interest group, and it's what they want is the president and Congress to pass laws that benefit their religion.
Which they can't.
Sure they can, yeah. How about this? Should we pass a law that a doctor should not be required to perform a service if he's uncomfortable with that service from a religious standpoint? Should we pass that law? Because that's being discussed right now. So that's what I'm saying. Because Evan's like, I don't see what they would want, or I don't know, like that's not going to happen. It can happen. Trump could sign a bill that says doctors don't have to help a patient if the thing the patient wants is against the doctor's religion.
you could just find a different doctor?
Yeah, but what's going to happen on that day while they search for a new doctor? It could be a big deal, you know.
What kind of?
I'm afraid my religion doesn't believe in appendicitis.
Yeah, like
so
what kind of?
Help you with your heart attack.
Can't give you cancer.
it's God says it's your time.
Religion.
No, obviously I'm talking about abortion here, right? Or like birth control. You weren't.
Why would you work in an abortion clinic?
Yeah.
Well, no, listen. You don't have to work at an abortion clinic to terminate a pregnancy. Like, there are things that come up all the time in a normal hospital setting that could require the termination of a pregnancy. That you find out that there is it's called like an ectopic pregnancy, where like it's happening in the fallopian tube. That's not going to be at an abortion clinic. That's going to be at a hospital. But maybe the doctor's like, I'm conflicted here with my religion. So stuff comes up a lot, actually. A really popular group on here is the ACLU. These are not all religious groups. It's any group that has a belief that wants to spread that belief. I've talked about the ACLU before, maybe. I think you should take a little note on them. They're one of the top 5 interest groups you should know. They really believe in the Bill of Rights, especially freedom of speech. They'll defend anybody's freedom of speech or religion or whatever. So if a Muslim is not allowed to pray or whatever, they will sue on their behalf. If a student is forced to stand and do the flag salute and say under God and the kid doesn't want to, they'll sue on the kid's behalf and fight on the kid. It's weird, their beliefs. You can't pin down, are they liberal, are they conservative? They fight for the Bill of Rights. And they'll fight for people that you might not like. The KKK is not allowed to have a parade in Sacramento. They'll sue on the KKK's behalf. I know that seems weird, and you're like, wait, are they a good group or a bad group? They're just a group that's fighting for the Bill of Rights, and they don't want any group to be discriminated against because they feel like if you start banning the KKK, then you'll start banning, you'll start extending that ban to other groups. So just don't ban anything. Okay, this is it. This is our last slide on notes anyway. There are other types of interest group that are hard to put in categories, like the National League of Cities, where people maybe mayors are in that, or the National Association of Governors, where governors are in that. And we're going to talk about PACs at a later date. Bless you. I wouldn't stress too much about this. Just write something down real quick, and you're done. For the sub, I want to point out that I'm going to have some video links on the next slide. Why don't you click through and watch if you have any time? Okay, cool.